Alright, so I'm still trying to get comfortable with sitting in front of a camera and recording. This is a lot different to recording in front of a cell phone for some reason. But to the point of this video, I did a Google form questionnaire for 2 weeks where I asked the question, what do you think defines a good goalkeeper? And I've had 68 replies. So I thought we would go over them together. We will bring them up on the screen one by one, and I will give you my thoughts on each reply. So let's go. So first reply. What do you think defines good goalkeeper? And this person writes, a goalie with great skill may not always be a good goalie. The mental parts are just as or more important. The skills can be learned, but the mental skills can't be learned. I agree with some of it. I'd say that the mental part is really important. You can't only have the technical skills. That's absolutely correct. However, I would say that the mental skills can be learned. They are, however, more natural for some people than for others. But in general, I would say, yeah, you can learn all the mental skills. Some people will struggle more with it than others, for sure. So this next one is in Swedish, and I will translate for you. So this person says he needs good reflexes, he needs to be agile and mobile, but the thing that differs a good goalie from a not so good goalie is the winner instinct, the will to fight for every ball and never giving up. And I could not agree more. The instinct has to be there. You have to want to win every situation. Absolutely. That's a good point. Third reply is a shorter one. Patience in everything. Being patient in working on myself. Being patient in the net. Patience, very important. This is a good point. In order to work on your self-improvement, you had to have patience. Change in yourself does not happen overnight. For me, change is still happening, and I'm 28 years old, to be soon anyway. And being patient in the net, yeah, absolutely. It can be difficult to be patient sometimes, but if you can manage to be patient during a game, then that would definitely be a good thing. Moving on, number 4. In my books, the most important thing is the drive to be ready to do the work. Also, the will to learn. I really like this last part. That's probably one of my favorite comments out of all the 68. The will to learn. It's something I found a few years back. My own will to learn and always improve. And some of the most inspiring goalkeepers I've met who are at a high level and still manage to show the will to learn, take in new information, and keep on improving after a large number of years in the sport. That is absolute key to stay on top, and it is also the key to getting there. If you always improve, there's really no limit to how good you can be if you're always improving. Excellent point. Number 5, mental strength and good basic with adaptable in every game situation. Now I struggle with this one slightly. I don't want to infer too much, but mental strength, absolutely. Really hard to practice mental strength. Super important, absolutely. And being able to be adaptable in every game situation, absolutely. Like I said, I don't want to infer too much, so moving on. This is a good short answer. What do you think makes a good goalkeeper? Mental strength. This next one is great. So those of you who are not from Scandinavia, we have very similar language to the Norwegians and the Danes. However, I struggle to understand both Norwegian and especially Danish. So here's a comment in Norwegian, which I will try to translate. And this person is saying that it's important to be mentally strong, keep the team going even if you give up a few goals, motivate the team to work both when things are going your way and when they're not going your way. To stay positive, to never allow yourself to be brought down too much. If you do something wrong, or if one of your players in your team does something wrong, to just not let yourself go down that spiral. A good and obvious point, you need to be in good physical form, absolutely. Your core muscles need to be good, you need to have a good stamina to be able to not decline in performance over the 3 times 20 minutes. And here's, let's see. Right, sorry for the cutaway. I actually had to go and translate this to be sure what I was saying. So this person is saying to give clear instructions on what to do in front of the goal, and to not shout and be angry at your team and try to hold the team together. That's the last part there, in that comment. And it's nice to see that someone focusing on that as well. Sorry, I don't always know where to look into the camera. I'm trying to find the lens. Not always that easy. A good goalkeeper needs to be mentally strong, have a good reading of the game, have many and good sideways moving techniques, and everything, like the rest is good but secondary to these points, is what this person is saying. The thing I like most here, I think, is that this person says you need to have many different ways of moving, and you need to be good at all of them. You can't just have a few of them. You can in some cases, but it serves you well to have more sideways moving techniques that you can be good at, that will serve you well in a game. What do you think makes a goalkeeper good? Good concentration, flexibility in the body, open-minded, look at different goalie techniques. I believe that you also have to be strong-minded, to have the skill to let go in mind. Wow, that's good. The skill to let go, to be able to move on when something has happened, something good or bad. Like, you actually have to be able to let go even when something really, really good happens. Like, you make that deciding save in the last second or whatever, like the last second of the first period or so. You still have to let that go and to reset and refocus to be at your best for the next save. It's a very good point. Different goalie techniques. I find this to be very important as well. Like, there is you can do something your way and you can do something in a certain way and it works for you. But you can't be sure that it's the best way of doing something unless you've tried all the other stuff. When I say try, like if you compare something new that you're trying for the first time, if you compare that with something that you've done forever, then the new way of doing it's going to be harder. It's not going to give as good results until you've become good at that particular skill. So yeah, I mean, try new stuff as much as possible and don't dismiss it until you know that it's, like, whether it's good or not. This next comment, I presume, is from a field player. So this person says in Swedish, a goalie who is good communicating often makes me feel safe as a defender. So presumably this is someone who plays defender a lot and has felt the difference between a goalie that communicates and one that doesn't, or one that communicates insufficiently and one that communicates sufficiently. I've always been a verbal goalie. I was taught as, like, from the first time I ever played, they just told me to talk and I didn't know what I was saying, so I was just saying stuff, I was shouting what I was seeing without understanding. So there's a good point to communicating, but there's also a good point for goalies to learn how the game works, so that they can be comfortable in what they're saying, so they don't stand like behind everyone else and giving direct, like, hints or saying stuff that just isn't correct, like according to the game plan of the team. Like, you need to be over here, watch this guy over here, and then that's not the game plan. I hope you understand what I mean. And this next comment as well, understand the body language of the field player and have a good reading of the game. So again, here we're directing the comment towards the field players, and I think it's a good point as well. Here's a huge comment. Okay, so bear with me on this one. Goalie has to be smart. He needs to, this feels like an Ace Ventura kind of thing. You know, we have to go. Goalie has to be smart. He needs to control the defenders when needed. Needs to help field players by communicating with them. Of course, he needs to know his location in the net so that he keeps the goal mostly covered. Has to have good movement. Goalie has to be creative so that he can adapt to different situations during the game. Needs to be active in the net, which means that he always needs to see where the ball is on the court. Has to be physically fit so that he does not get very tired in the game. Goalie needs to be very patient, and they have to be the calmest players on the floor. Even when their teammates make some mistakes, can lead to some easy opportunities for the opponent because they are the most important players on the field. What this person said. moving on to a shorter answer, another one in Swedish: not get nervous in the big games. I don't know, I've never played a huge game myself, if we're talking a big final or a world championship or nothing like that. So, but all the ones that I've talked to about these situations, they're always like, almost everyone is nervous to a certain degree. And I believe being nervous is good, it keeps you on your toes, but please correct me if you have some other opinion, just let me know. But I believe it's more about becoming nervous and then learning to control your emotions, not letting your nervous emotions get the best of you in these situations. That's my mental toughness. Every goalie lets a bad goal sometime. Facts. Great ones just focus to the next save and analyze if needed. It also comes to pressure handling. In my opinion, these are the hardest things to teach. I agree. I definitely agree. I don't even think that some of this is stuff that you can't even teach. This comes with experience, and then what you can do as a coach in these situations is to learn. Like, the coach has to learn how to deal with someone who's dealing with these emotions. Analyzing, you can learn. That you can learn. A good spirit, never give up attitude, the will to evolve and become better. Feels like these are points we've already touched on. I agree very much. Let's keep translating. Positioning, mental strength, knowing your angles, being agile, and the direct translation of this word is soft, which means like being limber, I guess. Knowing your angles. This is the first time I'm not sure. The first time I think we've seen the word angles. I love the word angles. It's even in my Twitter bio. It says like the tagged post on the top of my Twitter says, if you know angles, you know goaltending. Not all of it, but it gets you a long way. Learn your angles. Use iPads. Use like rubber bands attached to the post and pull them out to the floor. Basically, whatever you do that's related to knowing your angles is a very good thing. In my opinion, a goalkeeper is good if he is able to use his skills successfully and in the right moment. Interesting point, let's get back to that. Save percentage is just an additional thing to look at when you feel that something is not right. And when the percentage is not good, a good goalkeeper will try to figure out what is wrong in his game, his or her game, I guess. Okay, so the best point that's made here, I think, is be able to use your skills successfully and in the right moment. So it's about having a toolbox. You have all these tricks in your toolbox, and then having the skill to use the right tool for the right problem and in the right time. So that's a good visual, I think, having a toolbox, knowing when to use what. And then save percentage. I don't know. To me, save percentage is a huge discussion topic on its own, whether or not it's the best way to reflect on how your performance is going. But it is, even if it's not the best, I'm not saying it isn't, but even if it isn't the best, it will give you some kind of advice or some kind of hint as to how the game is going, absolutely. That's a topic of its own, the save percentage, but absolutely, when you feel your game is declining for one reason or another, I agree. You would want to figure out what's wrong, and even at sometimes just resetting and not figuring, like if you have a complete drop game where you give up a lot of goals, like let's say you give up 10, 12, 13, 14 goals, something goes really wrong, or whatever, it can be 5 to 7 goals if it's just not up to your standard. Sometimes it's worth just resetting, like, okay, that was just one off game, I'm gonna just let that go, reset, and come back from it. So I would say sometimes figure out what's wrong, and sometimes maybe just let it go and move on. There's not always something explaining what's going on. Split vision. Okay, so this next one: mentality, reflexes, split vision. Right, so mentality, we've covered that, absolutely. Reflexes and split vision. So here's the thing: reflexes and reaction time, they're not the same thing. You are born with a set of reflexes. You have the reflexes you have, they can they can't be improved. You can improve your reaction, on the other hand. If you want to learn more about that, I would suggest looking it up rather than me saying what my perception of it is. So look that up. Split vision, absolutely. Even if you want to break that down, you can move it to, set it to, like, practicing your peripheral vision. So you have your, okay, I might be struggling with the translation here, but your clear vision, your direct vision, and then you have your peripheral vision, and they're both worth practicing. Right, another one in Swedish. So what makes a goalkeeper good is that he or she has a lot of tools in his or her toolbox, which means you have a good education, the right training, and you get help if you get to an obstacle, and then you get the support and and you get the support when you do something well, like the support and encouragement when you do something well. What a coincidence. Toolbox. The second point, getting the support, getting the encouragement. That's what I believe your goalie colleague is. Like, that's one of your top priorities as one of the two in a goalie duo, to like give that support, give that encouragement to one another. That it doesn't matter if you make mistakes, you need to learn from them to be better and challenge yourself. Sorry, I found that funny. Challenge yourself and work hard every practice. Absolutely, challenge yourself, push the envelope, go to the limits of your own abilities, which is kind of what I'm trying to do here. This feels so awkward and it's so weird with the language, but it feels good. So that's what I recommend to everyone. Push the envelope, do stuff you're uncomfortable with. It helps you grow. Work hard every practice. And here's a kind of similar one. So it says, learn from your mistakes and give 100% in every practice, and listen to the ones that want to help you. And I think it's really easy to what we say in Swedish, mota Olle i grind, which means that when you're getting new input, sometimes you get like this feeling of protecting yourself. Okay, I hear you, just leave me alone, let me do my thing. But regardless of what people are saying, listen before you throw something away. If you want to disregard what they're saying, absolutely, but listen, always listen. There's almost always a grain of wisdom in almost everything. In some things there aren't, but in most things there are.